An issue with snow plow on the street also. Did you say that?
Yeah. It's hard for them to get trucks off the street when it's
Sure. I can
any
see
time that it's there, but with snow plowing, I would specifically think so, no.
Well. I can't have, I have to recuse myself. Even though I'm not regular, help yourself, sure.
I would just on the appearance.
Yeah.
Review.
Yeah.
I don't think it's absolutely necessary. You might have to elect the chair pro tem, I don't know last time I did this.
Oh.
Because I know Pam's not gonna be here, so. Did you see that email?
I do read them, I don't.
Well, I think.
All right, I'm gonna feed the cat. Yeah.
You name yourself. Share your name yourself.
Calling meeting to order at 6:01 PM. Please rise as you are able and join us for the pledge of allegiance.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get going, just ask that we have a moment of silence, in memory of Dick Forrest, who was a, very active member of the Waterfront Committee and other town committees for many, many years and passed away recently. So let's all have a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. All right, payroll warrants for April 4th, 2025 and April 11th, 2025, open for a motion.
Move to approve payroll warrants, April 4 and April 11, 2025.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Accounts payable warrants for April 8th, 2025 and April 15th, 2025, open for a motion.
Move to approve account payable warrants, April 8 and April 15, 2025.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Approval of the minutes for April 1st, 2025. Open for motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions, edits? No? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. We do not have any committee appointments tonight. Public hearings, we have 2. First one for liquor license application from Charm Thai LLC located at 762 Back Road, open for motion to open the public hearing.
Move to open public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all those in favor? Public hearing is open at 6:04 PM. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this liquor license application? Looks like we have anybody online. And thankfully, no surprise guests so far. For those who weren't here last time, we had a Zoom bomber for the first time, so. All right, going once, going twice. Okay, open for a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0 at 6:05 PM. Open for a motion on the liquor license.
Move to approve liquor license application for Charm Thai LLC located at 762 Bath Road.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Second public hearing is a special amusement permit for Kier Brewing located at 11 Main Street. Open for motion.
Move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0 to open the public hearing at 6:05 PM. Is there anyone who would wish to speak on the special amusement permit? Going once. Going twice. Okay, open for a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
And moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0 to close the public hearing at 6:06 PM. Open for motion on the special amusement permit.
How do you pronounce the name?
AKR.
Thank you. Move to approve the special amusement permit for AKR Brewing located at 11 Main Street.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Okay. Public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on something not on the agenda? Ed, come on forward. You know the drill.
Edward Paul Barsick from Wiscasset. I've been attending multiple school board meetings and school budget meetings and workshops. And I've managed to get to nearly all of them. I think I missed probably 1 or 2. The school budget proposed is 10 million, nearly $10,900,000. It's an increase of about 3.1%. The Wiscasset School Committee did not approve this unanimously. It was voted 3-2. 2 members of the committee voted against the budget. I was surprised to learn that at your last meeting, April 1st, that the motion was made to schedule the open town meeting for the school budget on April 29th and to approve the warrant as recommended by the Wiscasset School Committee. So I was surprised to see the select board approve that warrant. I was concerned because in the past there had been some presentation by the superintendent, there was some discussion. In the past, we had a budget committee and they provided some oversight. And in this case, this year, there is none. So I'm left with the question, is this a reasonable budget for our students? One way to look at that is look at the average cost per student in the state of Maine. And during the last school year, 23-24, the average per pupil spending in the cost of Maine was $20,139. In Wiscasset, it was $25,262, a 25% increase above the Maine average. The problem we're having now is that as enrollment is decreasing, when I last looked at the numbers, we had 373 students. And I understand that 2 more were expelled at the last meeting. That puts us with the current budget and the number of students with an average student cost of close to $30,000. This is nearly 50% above what is happening in the rest of the state. We have the situation where the enrollment is decreasing. There are 41 students in the state, in the town of Wiscasset, who have selected to go elsewhere and are attending other schools under a superintendent's agreement. Enrollment's going down, costs are going up. And the relationship between performance and costs does not give us a reasonable budget. What we're seeing is performance has decreased. We're not meeting our minimum requirements for acceptable performance, and yet our costs are increasing, and these costs are significantly above average. I was really disappointed with the fact that the select board voted unanimously to accept that previous
We
warrant.
didn't.
The minutes say you did.
No, James voted against it.
Well, I got this out of the minutes that were published. I don't know if the minutes say 4-1 or not, but the minutes said 5-0-0.
We voted to have the meeting to approve it.
Yeah, so I just want, I know it is my practice not to answer, sorry, were you?
No, I'm
Did you
fine.
have
I'm
anything?
fine, finished,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, I just, in terms of process, I just wanna make the point that the vote of approval means we are allowing it to be put forward before the voters. That does not mean I'm voting for the school budget or against it. That is simply putting it for the voters.
Yeah, I understand, and that's what I had expected, except the way it was written in the minutes, it appears that you voted to set the date and approve the warrant as recommended.
You have to approve the warrant for it to be printed. That doesn't mean you're in support.
I understand that.
That's the
The
difference.
wording in the minutes appears to be different from my point of view. Thank you. Thank you.
See.
Oh, then I
Vote
didn't
doesn't
catch that,
say
yeah,
Yeah, because I,
that was 4-1.
you voted against that, right, Jane?
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so that was.
So we need to amend it? Amend it?
Yeah, can we? What's protocol for that?
I would go back and rescind the approval and then amend it.
Vote to rescind?
Yeah.
Okay,
I move to rescind the vote on the minutes.
for April 1st. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. I need a motion to approve as amended.
I move to approve minutes as amended, minutes for 4-1.
Second.
And moved and seconded, any further questions or discussion? All those in favor? There we go, thank you. All right, anyone else for public comments? Okay. Moving on to department head, monthly reports, any questions, comments? Only missing Dwayne.
He's on vacation.
Oh, right. Okay, that was my question. Anything else? Okay. All right, moving on to new business, Hodge Street parking, St. Philip's Church. You wanna kick this off? Would you like to kick this off?
Sure. In the packet was an email that we received from Karen Sullivan, expressing some safety concerns over parking on Hodge Street, particularly between Route 1 and the St. Philip's Church. And I have to say that having lived on Union Street and using that intersection quite a bit for almost 3 years, that's kind of a tough intersection anyways. People coming up from Washington Street wanting to get on Route 1 don't necessarily stop at the stop sign on Washington Street, they stop at the stop sign on Hodge Street. Which then blocks cars who are trying to turn onto Hodge Street from getting down Hodge Street. But in this particular instance, if there's cars parked on the sidewalk along Hodge Street and you're trying to turn off of Route 1 and there's cars coming the other way, there's no place for you to go. And having experienced that, I can say that it is, I think, a bit of a safety hazard. I know there's been accidents there. I've had some close calls there. And this just seems like a pretty common sense, simple solution just to ban parking from Route 1 to St. Philip's Church. The other side of Hodge Street has a similar ban. For a number of car distances. It allows cars room to get off, but it also allows better sight vision to get in and out of the intersection. So I think it's a common sense, very simple solution to a potential problem or a problem.
I know that part of the problem that accrues to the fact that there's not enough parking for all of the volunteers working for the Help Yourself Show and all the people that are coming to get food or on Thursday nights. This is mostly a problem on Thursday nights. And I parked on that road all the time. I know exactly what you're talking about, but there's a parking lot, not parking lot, there's a driveway on Hodge, close to the property line. Yeah, it says, the property line between 5 and 6, section 5 and 6. And my thought was, it's quite a length of run. The church could use 2 or 3 on that road. It will actually hold 6 or 7. If it would be possible to consider either painting parking spots on there and having your no parking for the last 2 spots that are next to or from what would be the last 2 spots to Highway 1.
So
Is that
where are you talking about?
Okay.
The park? Did you say a
Bill
drive?
Banks, there's a house here on Lot 5.
Yes, I
And
know what you're talking about.
the parking, they have a driveway that's immediately.
It's a Google map, so for people who aren't familiar with the area, it might help.
Showing them different from there.
Yeah.
Where are the photos that she sent you? You have those?
I mean, they're on my computer, I send them to everybody.
Back road is Route 1, obviously.
Well, we've had,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bill Dyke's house is on lot 5.
Mhm.
He has a driveway right next to the property line between 5 and 6. And from his, I'm suggesting that from his driveway towards 1, we allow 3 parking spaces. Normally cars really crowd up right there because there's no other room unless you're gonna park way down Warren, I guess. Warren is already, Warren. Yeah, that's Warren right there. That's just the only thing I could offer. It's a difficult situation for everybody. But at least it would give enough room. Do you see what I'm saying? It will give enough room for you to, just like right next to, streets. You have that small area that you used to be able to park, but now you can't.
Yeah.
But there's still parking on the street, on that side of the street.
So you're just saying, don't block off as much as this is
Don't,
suggesting?
don't mark it up, yeah, not the whole
Okay.
yellow stripe here. I'm saying, reduce it by half.
Sharman, can I ask you a clarifying question? You had sent some more detail and you'd mentioned that in a few weeks, the food pantry is returning to the pre-COVID shopping model. Can you just say what that means?
So, starting May 1st, we'll be going back, having everybody, come into St. Philip's to get food instead of driving up 2 cars at a time. So we will open the doors, metaphorically, because they're always open, but we will open the doors at 4 p.m. and then the food pantry will start at 5. And that gives people that are coming for food also time to shop down in the thrift store.
And do you feel like
And
that,
so that way, the cars will not be in queue at the lot, they'll be parked like normal cars. And the volunteers will either park on Summer Street probably, or there's also, some of them could park perpendicular in our lot.
okay, so do you feel like that model is better in terms of congestion? Or the same?
I don't,
If you had to
I wouldn't necessarily say that, it's better in terms of, not having to be outside. What it's gonna help is wear and tear on the driveway that goes between our church and what used to be the rectory.
Yeah,
So it'll be nicer for the ladies that are moving into that home.
thank you. Karen? Yeah,
My name's Karen Sullivan and I live on Hammond Street, which is highlighted in yellow here. And, I just want to make it clear that this is not in any way negative about what St. Philip's does. They provide obviously a very needed service. Thursdays are the most intensive day. Tuesday evenings, they also have a meeting, which is pretty intensively attended and typically the cars outnumber the available parking spots in the parking lot itself. And I would guess that the activity at St. Philip's probably exceeds, maybe except for Reds and Sprague's, any other commercial business in the village center, because it runs 52 weeks a year. So my request is really about traffic safety. In the commercial center, they have assigned parking spots, as Terry mentioned. They have parking stripes and signs so that you don't impact any particular intersection, so people, trucks, whatever, can safely navigate an intersection. And so I know it's not a commercial business, but it is a business that provides a needed service for the community, and it is extremely well utilized. And so I would like the traffic piece of it to be addressed. And there's 2 components that I'd like to address. One is that tricky intersection, which Dennis referred to, where Hodge, Washington, and Route 1 intersect. So you have basically people wanting to go in 6 directions. And if there's parking all the way to the corner on the St. Philip's side of Hodge Street, you have one of those directions possible, which is leaving Hodge, entering Route 1. All other 5s are just done. So that's one. I would like some, and I personally, I mean, I've been looking at it, I don't know that it has to go all the way to St. Philip's. I mean, at least 2 cars worth. There is a business, and I don't know if it's gonna open or not, the white building on the corner of Washington and Hodge.
Oh, yeah.
Was an elderly housing, and there is a driveway there. It seems to me that the parking restriction should start probably about there, so that those people can get in and out of that if they ever get that situation up and running. But it's really about being able to turn onto Hodge and have it be 2 ways.
Mhm.
And the other issue I would like to address, and Hammond Street is a small dead-end street, but it is actually a town road. And the only way to get onto Hammond Street is if you enter Hodge from Route 1, because of the angle of the road, you can't turn right into Hammond Street if you're coming from Hooper. So I would also request, if they're looking at parking stripes or whatever, to just give a little bit of a buffer on either side of Hammond Street, so that people exiting Hammond Street can safely navigate entering Hodge, because Hammond Street is on a ledge, so you come down like this. You know, it's Maine, a lot of people have trucks, so you're driving, you come down, the guy right there has a truck, you can't see around it. And you can't see around this way if someone's right in front of the rectory. And you have to go into the opposite lane to enter Hodge Street. I've almost been nailed at least 3 times walking the dog, just trying to get out of Hammond Street to walk the dog, because the sightlines are impossible if there's parking right up to Hammond Street. And you don't know that it's a street because there's no sign there, but in fact, it is a public road. So that is the other thing, when I'm looking at the whole picture, you know, a little bit of buffer on each end of Hammond Street to allow safe exit and egress, entrance. And some limited parking on the St. Philip's side, because there is no parking, as Dennis said, on the other side of Hodge Street. So that when you enter Hodge Street, it is a 2-lane road for at least a couple of car lengths. So that is all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bill.
Carly,
Yeah.
that lot number 5, where we're talking about, Lodge comes out onto.
Mr. Di,
Oh, the big antique house? Okay,
Anyway, that's 172 feet, that's about 6 cars.
okay.
If you change that to 4 cars, would that work?
Bill, my only concern with that is reducing this. If you have a car that's coming onto Hodge Street towards Route 1, and they're paralleling 2, 3, or 4 vehicles, and somebody comes off of Route 1, and they don't have room to pull off to the right to allow the other vehicle to come through, they're gonna have to back up towards Route 1, and that defeats the whole purpose of what we're trying to do here. And so I did think about that, and I think we need the extra space to make sure that we're allowing somebody room enough to pull off so that people aren't backing back into Route 1.
well, you know, there's a sidewalk that comes down, in fact, there's 2 sidewalks that cross right there, so. Nobody's gonna park closer than, what, 10 feet?
That's not true.
Wait,
I sent pictures.
To block the sidewalk?
The sidewalk
closer than
runs
10 feet.
here,
Yeah, I know.
right? So if you've got cars parked here, and I'm coming off. and
Oh, I
there's a
know.
Car coming this way, and they can't pull into here, I now have to back up towards Route 1.
Yeah, I feel, cause the driveway into the St. Philip's parking lot matches up with is opposite the property line between 5 and 6, right, roughly?
Yeah, I think it's very close.
Yeah, I guess roughly.
Well, actually, it's right, there, it's darn near in the middle of 6. Because the church is over here, then there's the parking space, then there's the, what's the parish, what do you call it?
Rectory parish
Thank you,
house.
whatever. So it's right in the middle of 6.
Google Earth.
But you know, there is,
I'm not talking about restricting parking in front of the church.
I know that. I know
Okay.
that. And in fact, I was saying on the other side of the Dykes driveway.
I mean, it's there. why I'm bringing this up is to the point of people coming from Cooper, not having to back up, it's. If you're going to do this, I feel like you should do it up to the point where someone could pull into the parking lot if they needed to get out of the way. You know what I
Even
mean?
if it's just across the entrance, long
Right.
enough for somebody to come by.
Either way.
Okay, I don't see what else to say.
And Carrie, is there a reason volunteers or whatnot?
Yeah.
Can't park out here?
They can always turn into our parking lot, I mean,
Oh, I know, I'm saying that's a positive, I'm saying you should absolutely have parking on the street. Parallel to the parking lot on the other side, because it allows it to be two-way, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So parking in front of the church is okay.
Yeah, because you have the option to scoot in if you need to,
But
so you're not having someone back up either way. Larry, is there, am I making this up, but isn't there some law that you can't park within a certain distance of a stop sign or something like that? Maybe I'm making it up.
I looked it up. It's 20 to 30 feet.
I'm not aware of it. Never heard one.
Okay.
Carol,
I looked it up and it's actually protocol is minimum of 20 to 30 feet depending on the intersection, but. People do it. I mean, it's not, I didn't know that until I looked it up, but the fact is there are cars parked right up into the crosswalk.
Well, I think we all do it at the
Stop
post
sign.
office.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I'm asking the town for a little guidance so that those traveling are safe and those utilizing St. Philip's programs, which are clearly very needed, have some guidance as to where to go. That's all.
So on the Hammond Street piece, briefly, if it's easy, I would suggest we do the same thing that we have coming out of, Shinbone Alley and Bigfoot Alley, which is
Yeah, just little triangles.
there's just a small
Right.
triangle on
Yes,
each, so
I
that you
would-
don't have that.
Correct.
yeah, that's an easy fix, we can get to.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that would be sufficient. It's just to allow sight lines and safe enter and exit. That's it. Sit down.
what do you think? May I ask?
Yeah.
Where do you think the driveway is for what used to be green? Is it right across from the bike's driveway?
The green, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is Hodge.
Yeah. I think it's, the
This is
reason I
here.
wanna know is,
Well, see,
yeah,
it shows a little bit better on this
okay,
because that's the building right there. Can you see it?
oh, sure.
No.
Okay.
So it's right here.
Okay,
It's really faint, but it's where the building gets narrow. That's just the garage, so it's right. Like right there.
okay. This is Hodge, right? Wait,
This
wait,
is Hodge.
Okay, I see, wait.
So. And that blue line is the parking lot for St. Philip's.
Right, so it would be closer to the,
So I mean, even,
okay. The reason I was asking is that there is also a problem if they do,
if they do whatever they're going to do, you need to be able to get in and out of there. And their parking is. I don't know, it's like a double, I would say 3 spaces. So they need to be able to get in and out. So maybe looking at their parking situation would be a way to judge.
let's get,
No, across from the same.
Well, there must be a traffic engineer who has this
yeah,
driveway.
somebody
Who knows how to do this?
figure it out, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all reasonable.
I just don't want to get green.
I'm looking at street view and the entrance to the St. Philip's parking lot is directly across from lot 5's driveway. So,
And can you see the parking area for the building on the corner of Washington and
you
Hodge?
mean just like the 2-car garage with the?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, those people ought to be able to get in and out easily as well. So that to
So
me would
that's-
be the spot where no parking begins.
And that's why I've set it from the corner to the lot line of St. Philip's, which takes it beyond that driveway. Anyways, right,
Well, it's not, you get my drift. It's above my pay grade to figure out where it goes, but anyway, I just wanna be,
Yeah.
I just wanna be able to enter the street safely. And because as you said, Dennis, you encounter someone, you have people that wanna cut through Washington to get on Federal. And once you stop, it's like boom, because people, they take an opening where they get one when you're trying to get across Route 1.
yeah, especially in the summertime.
And so it can be dangerous. Well, thank you for considering it.
Could we just hold on to this and let Larry go take a look at it and decide where everything wrong with it?
I mean, we can, but I have some feelings, but there are two more. Sure.
Right, I also live at 2 Hammond, Keith and yeah. I was looking at the property on, I was walking around town looking at parking spaces. And yeah, the little triangle is nice at the end, so it gives you a little space. But also for Hammond Street, since we don't have a street sign, we might be the only road in town that doesn't have one, so getting deliveries can be challenging. But on Water Street, there's a driveway that's right across from the kitchen there. At a house that fronts onto Middle Street.
Mhm.
And I noticed that it just, if you got the white paint out, put no parking in front of their driveway. So I was thinking maybe in front of Hammond Street on the street, if you're gonna paint spaces and lines, maybe you could put no parking there. That's.
Like in front of the entrance to Hammond Street?
Yeah, cause
Do
it's
people
just,
normally block the entrance?
it's happened a fair amount.
I guess I would hope if we put the triangles there, that would make it more obvious that.
It would make it obvious and maybe, maybe if there was a sign and, I have to thank John Young because when we first moved there, people were blocking it regularly and he just brought his truck over and parked it like right before. So his truck was kind of in the way, so nobody could pull in front. And, Charmin, I think too, they've been directing traffic, so it's been great, I mean, it's been fine, it's not a problem, it's just a little dangerous, because when we have to pull out. Particularly if there's a car parked in front of the parish house. I have to pull into the other oncoming lane. And if people are walking back and forth, it's pedestrians that I'm concerned with even more than cars, so. So anyway, if there could be just a no parking in front of there, that'd be awesome, and there's precedent set in town, so.
Can we get them a street sign?
Yeah, I go ahead and know.
It's HAMND.
Sharma, did you wanna speak?
No, I was just curious, are we talking about these parking restrictions 7 days a week or just on Thursdays?
7 days a
7 days
week.
a week.
It would be posted, no parking from here to the corner.
Well, I
Any
was,
exceptions like for Strawberry Festival?
I feel like that would kind of defeat the purpose though, wouldn't it? I mean, right in the middle of the summer, my thing is, I know how tight it is, I know there's. You have way more cars than there's parking. From the pictures, at least the first 2 spots I find are way too close and far down, like, it's just too dangerous.
Well, we'll tell our volunteers not to park down there. Until this all happens. It's not food pantry patrons that are parking down there, it's our volunteers.
And they've got nobody to park because it's not safe.
I mean, not to put you on the spot, but Larry, do you have any thoughts?
After we got that first complaint, I went down on one Thursday, I just happened to be going by. So I went down and I saw vehicles parked. Well, they weren't right up to the stop sign then, but they were parked in that intersection, but it would have been difficult. But I mean, a lot of streets in town is difficult. Even Water Street, Middle Street during the summertime to get a emergency vehicle down through, but I do see and understand the safety concerns that were brought forward.
Any thoughts on this side?
Yeah, from a safety aspect, I mean, I think you just provide a adequate queue length, which would be like, I don't know, 3 or 4 cars maybe. So 80 feet from the crosswalk. And I mean, that should be sufficient going both ways too. So from the crosswalk, you'd have 4 cars. And so if someone's coming down Hodge, then there's space for them to pull in.
So you're saying block that, or no parking?
No parking for 4 cars, maybe 3 or 4 from the crosswalk. And that would take care of the safety aspect
There
of
was
it.
no parking on the other side of Hodge Street anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd have that 3 or 4 cars to pull into Hodge Street. And you shouldn't be in Route 1 at that point. I don't think you need to go much further back than that, to be honest.
So you're going 4 cars back from the intersection.
Yeah, about 80 feet, if you say 20 feet a car.
So you could park 2 cars, there may be 3, depending on size.
That was what I was hoping for.
Pardon?
That's what I was hoping for, when I was saying, not the entire yellow line there.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at Google Street, it looks like approximately to that pathway to the house with red trim there.
Can I just make something clear? The yellow line was not meant to indicate where I don't want.
Oh, no, not yours.
No,
The
one that he,
Yeah,
Okay.
which was basically just lot 5. Well, so if that's lot 5, then that's not 80 feet, but.
It's hard to say without knowing how many cars queue up there, but I think 4 would be pretty sufficient
He is the engineer.
from the crosswalk.
Well, we don't know if you passed this test on.
We got 3 days.
I think you made it though. We wanna come 4 car lengths back, which is like
You could say 80 feet, I'd say, from the crosswalk.
17 foot for 17 feet of car.
I would be fine with at least trying that.
And it's a sign, I mean, it can get moved if cars start queuing up further than that, so. I don't think road paint is gonna do much at that intersection,
No.
and we're gonna have to stripe it every year, so.
Or you just, would it just be a no parking here at a corner?
Mhm.
Alright. Okay.
80 feet.
Try it, see how it works. Reevaluate after, particularly after the summer. Then that's the worst
Yeah,
traffic point, so.
yeah.
Alright, so we wanna make. Oh, look at that. Okay,
Actually 6.
would someone like to move the following, move to designate the distance of 80 feet from Route 1 to St. Philip's? No, that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Towards,
Towards the,
yes.
Okay,
along that lot, matching lot line.
towards St. Philip, 80 feet towards, from Route 1 towards St. Philip's Church along property line of map U10 lot 5 on Hodge Street as a no parking zone. That is the motion.
Motion made.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussions?
I have to recuse myself.
Okay, that's fine.
We just did the little things on the side of Hammond.
You 30 seconds.
But we don't need them.
That stuff I think I can take care of without,
Okay.
I mean,
Alright, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstain?
Thank you very much.
Motion passes 3-0-1. Thank you. Monthly financials, year-to-date expense and revenue reports, and the HM Pearson statement of accounts. Don't look at HM Pearson unless you wanna be depressed.
A good piece of the card.
Any questions? Okay. Sewer abatement for the Wiscasset Woods Lodge. You'll see Rob has, recommended not approving it, because it did not come in before the date. That it needed to, despite the fact that, the person said it was coming. So he's, and Dennis is recommending that we also keep with our, practice of not making exceptions for the late ones, so. Do we,
I think,
I
how,
was late with mine.
how bad did you miss the? That's okay.
what? I had a question, Rob, does it make any difference that it's not from the guy whose account this is? I understand he's the manager, but
Yes, the
It's-
owner is the one who gets the sewer bills and the water bills, and he's in Massachusetts.
so isn't it the owner who should have to actually submit the abatement request, not this guy?
Apparently, Mr. Rhines was acting on behalf, so I was told that he was acting on behalf of Mr. Romero, who's the owner of the lodge. When Mr. Rhines, who is the manager over there, found out about it, I was notified within days of the billing that he was gonna put in an abatement request. So they sent me the his history and his existing bill, the outstanding bill. So anyway, when he went online to download the application form, it says on there that all accounts have to be in good standing. So he then started scrambling around to get Mr. Romero to cut a check for the outstanding amount, thinking that that had to be paid. So anyway, he claims that was the delay. So I did tell him, I said, look, it's past the 30 days. But then he said, well, can you still put it through? Maybe they'll. So anyway, that's what I did.
Yeah, my question was, how far past the 30 days was it?
Oh, it was 2 weeks. It was,
Okay.
let me see, I got it on the 18th of March, and it would have had to have been in by February 28th. So, well, 16 days or whatever.
Okay,
I'm not inclined to make an
Okay.
exception.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but I just.
I didn't get mine.
You were late?
Oh, yeah. I never saw it with the thing at the time. Only a month or two.
Perhaps we should move the deadline back one more bill. This seems to be a common theme.
The last couple of years, we've only fixed the second one.
I don't know.
For just a moment.
Yeah,
All I wanted to say was, it seems like more and more of the people who are requesting, or who are the owners, are out of state.
yeah.
So there seems to be a disconnect somehow, or, delays are happening because of that.
I guess I don't have a lot of sympathy there because you can sign up for online bill. There's no reason, and as someone who has owned a house that I don't live in, like you have to keep on top of
Yeah.
that. You have to assume. You gotta know when when the bills come. They come the same time.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
I don't know.
It might get worse, but aren't we going to automatic billing through the wastewater, or water treatment? Aren't we changing billing over there somehow, or they are?
No,
I haven't heard.
I don't think so.
I don't know, just a thought, but.
Not inclined to be nice on this one.
I was trying to be nice. I mean, you know.
If others feel differently, that's fine. Anybody wanna make a motion either way, to either accept or decline?
Make a motion, we decline.
Second,
Been moved and seconded, any further questions or discussion? All in favor? Are you voting in favor or no? Opposed?
To decline?
To deny.
Yeah,
Deny.
yeah. So which way are you voting?
I'm so sorry. So it's a double thing, right?
To decline
double negative.
the abatement request.
Oh, yeah,
Do you wanna give them the abatement or not?
I do. I wanna give
You
him,
do,
I want to give him, yeah.
okay, so you
Basically,
were voting no on the motion.
right,
All right, so motion carries 3-1.
there you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next, EMS, Chief Bean's request for EMS celebration. Open for a motion.
I move to authorize the closure of Lincoln Street from 1:30 P.M. to 8 P.M., May 17th, for an EMS open house.
Second,
And moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. EMS bad debt, open for motion.
I move to write off the active receivables of $15,104.77 in unpaid EMS debt and send that same to collections.
second,
Then moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Municipal quitclaim deed to the heirs of Daniel Gilmore for a parcel located on Page Avenue, map U11 lot 16. Open for motion.
Move to execute the municipal quitclaim deed to the heirs of Daniel Gilmore for a parcel located on Page Avenue, map U11 lot 016.
second,
Then moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Resignation of Stephen Wallace from the planning board, open for motion.
Move to accept the resignation of Stephen Wallace from the planning board with thanks for his service.
second,
Then moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Resolution for the preservation of the federal tax exemption of municipal bond. Open for motion.
I move to adopt a resolution declaring support for the preservation of the federal tax exemption on municipal bond.
second,
Then moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Acceptance of a donation for a Wisconsin Community Center sign, $20,000 from Norm's Used Cars.
Really cool. I move to accept the $20,000 donation from Norm's Used Cars for the purpose of a new sign at the Wisconsin Community Center.
second,
Then moved and seconded, big thanks to Norm. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Correspondence, about a notification of the subdivision application for property abutting town-owned Old Ferry Road. Any questions about that? We don't have to take any action, right?
No,
Okay.
it's just to let you know that
Right,
by ordinance, they have to perform the abutters or abutters, so.
right.
All right, Blue Claw Boat Tours proposal.
Yeah.
Open for a motion.
So Aaron actually provided you a couple of motions, because,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, there's like 2 of them.
there's 2 of them.
So, just in case this is relevant to the motions, I wanted to ask about the parking spots. Are we actually reserving 2 or 3?
I don't think I think we were talking today about reserving 1, right, Aaron, for the owner?
Yes, the proposal right now, as it stands, just one for the owner.
Yeah. And we don't figure it would be much of a big issue, during the day. Maybe an issue for the evening one when all the restaurants and whatnot are open, but by then all the fishermen and most of what's happening down the waterfront is cleared out, so. You know, parking's an issue, we can always direct some people to park down on Pleasant Street Extension if it became necessary, so.
Or they can just park in the Water Street lot?
If that's,
For now.
but if that's not available, then. you know,
Okay.
we figured that's the other option, so.
All right,
So you have it written out?
yeah, it's on the second page of what Aaron gave us.
You have two there, so make sure you got the right, here.
Thank you. Select board authorize the town manager and harbor master to develop a new seasonal dock fee structure for the recreational and commercial pier consistent with the Wiscasset Waterfront Committee's 2022 report to the Wiscasset Select Board for the expansion of the recreational pier.
Second,
And moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. And then the second one,
I move that the select board enters a memorandum of understanding with Blue Claw Boat Tours for a boat tour business operating out of the waterfront and authorizes the town manager to sign and negotiate the terms of said agreement with the understanding of following the new seasonal dock fee structure.
second. Is this the one with exclusivity rights? I thought I read that somewhere.
what do you mean exclusivity?
Right, so they would have a dedicated spot at the recreational pier
That's fine, they're not the only ones allowed to do this though.
currently.
They are, yeah.
But we are talking about putting in an additional float just to accommodate this. Which I think we can do on, in between, on the end where the commercial pier is.
Okay, so I just don't like giving exclusive rights to someone or a private business. So they're the only ones that would be allowed to rent kayaks?
A certain space just for that boat,
Oh,
not the
just the
entire,
space.
not the entire pier, just the space.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that,
So they have somewhere to come back into.
when they come back in, they don't find a pier totally full and they can't disembark their passengers.
That's totally
Yeah,
fine.
But I think we can put an additional float in to accommodate that, so we don't lose any
Okay, so you're
other
making,
space.
The way it was written, I thought they had the rights to be the only business to do this.
No,
Okay,
no,
We're looking at the kayak, the tour boat.
no, we just approved that one, we're looking at kayaks.
No, not yet.
Oh,
We have a second. Motion on
That's-
the
yeah,
table.
that's a whole
On
different
the-
discussion.
on the-
didn't we just make that motion?
So the motion we already approved was the dock fee structure.
Okay,
And then Terry just read the second one, which is the MOU for the boat tour.
alright, yeah, I'm jumping the gun then.
All right, so that one's on the table. Any further questions or discussion on the boat tours? Okay, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Okay, now we're on to the kayaks. Okay, so where were you talking about on the kayaks?
Permission to operate. Like the third section up to the bottom.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, what does that mean? Exclusivity agreement.
So in other words, another vendor would come in and offer the same service.
So in other words, we would have to deny another kayak company.
Yeah, the terms of this contract.
Can you negotiate that portion? I just. I don't know, not a fan of that.
I mean, I think the reason why it's there is because they're putting in all the capital into this. I mean, I see your concern, but I mean, they are providing at no cost to the town of service essentially, and then return the funds to the town. So, I mean, I can ask them, but it's probably, I mean, the agreement's written in a way that we could terminate at any time. And so if we had another offender that came here, they have a better, more lucrative deal, we could probably cancel the agreement.
I can't see someone, another competitor coming in and seeing one person doing that and think they're gonna get some business anyway.
And these are gonna be put over on the other side of the, so near where the Schooners black thingy is over there.
Yes.
Grassy knoll.
Yes.
Okay.
What's thinking?
Over on that, well, you could see it if you were in Water Street Kitchen, you could look down and see it, right?
Okay.
There's a blue grassy area in the park.
Yeah.
Are these kayaks gonna have paddles and life jackets? and
Yes.
all that
Yep.
stuff?
Yep,
And we do get 5% of,
I think they've agreed to go to 10%, right?
Yeah,
okay, we're going to get 10% of the revenue.
Wow.
Alright. We have one motion on this one.
Which one?
That's the thing, no.
Yeah.
And then the select board enters into a concessionaire agreement with the Rent Fund LLC for a kayak rental kiosk at the waterfront and authorize the town manager to sign and negotiate the terms of the said agreement with the understanding of following the current fee structure where appropriate for consistency.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion?
so let me just be clear, the way that was written was the waterfront committee, if you recall, Dennis. They're the ones that recommended that we go with your current fee structure. Remember?
Yes.
Right.
So for the concession group, didn't want to pay the fee currently. They were only willing to give us 10% on the,
So they're not gonna pay a fee,
no, they're gonna give us the return on the revenue, the 10%.
but they're not gonna pay the fee.
They're not gonna pay.
It's one or the other.
Well, this motion says both.
No, I know, but I'm just telling you what the waterfront committee recommended to the select board. That's what the waterfront, that motion is what the waterfront committee recommended.
Right, but you're saying they aren't going to agree to do both things.
Yes, I'm trying to explain to you now that the rent fund, I asked them about that and they said, no, we're not gonna do that, and that's when they increased the revenue for us.
Okay, so this is the wrong motion then.
Oh,
Okay, so we're either allowing it when they pay 10% and not a pier permit fee.
Yeah.
Or we're not doing it, it sounds like. Cause they don't wanna pay a pier permit fee. Or I guess they probably would pay that and not a revenue.
No, they don't wanna pay the permit fee, they wanna do the revenue.
So you change the resolution, you change this, you read it down, where select board enters into a concessionaire agreement with the Rent Fund LLC. For kayak rental kiosk in the waterfront. And authorize the town manager to sign and negotiate the terms of the said agreement, period.
Yeah,
Leave
there you
off
go.
with.
not the current
understanding-
fee structure.
Right.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay, so can,
Make the motion all over again.
well,
As
to do it. I don't normally take more questions, but Ed, you could.
Well, the question in my mind is if they're not paying a fee for using part of our structure down here. And we are now getting a part of the profit. Are we a part of the business now? And assuming additional liabilities?
No,
And why is that?
all of the liability lies entirely on them. That's part of the agreement.
Okay.
Alright, so we need, did you second that?
not the new second, yeah, sure.
Well, I need,
You did
I
take
need
it
to
back.
rescind. Who seconded that? Was it
Nobody.
nobody? Okay,
Ah.
can you take back your motion and,
Yeah, good. I move the select board enters into a concessionaire agreement with Rent Fund LLC for a kayak rental kiosk at the waterfront and authorizes the town manager to sign and negotiate the terms of said agreement.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
It's like herding cats sometimes.
Who you referring to as a cat? All right, business license for Seabasket located at 303 Bath Road. Is this because it's sold?
Yes, these are new owners.
Open for a motion.
I move to approve the business license application for Seabasket located at 303 Bath Road.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
So the business license runs out?
You have to get a new one when there's a new owner.
Oh,
All right, no assessor's business, town manager's report, anything you wanna add?
Yep, Aaron, we've been working for how many months to get a heat pump for Scout Hall? Since August. August, we finally found somebody that would sell us and install one. And we did apply for a main efficiency grant and got a $3,600 grant from the state, and that was matched by a $2,000 grant from the Nature Conservancy. So we got 5,600 of the 12,000 to install from somebody else, so.
that's pretty impressive.
All right.
Thank you, Aaron, for your hard work down there.
Yeah, wow.
We do have an executive session, there will be a motion afterwards. Anything else?
Just a comment, the rec center's been looking for that sign for about 20 years, finally got it.
All right, need a motion for executive.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry, move to, oh gosh, open the executive
Session.
session, yeah. Is there an MRS?
yeah, you
something
gotta
or other?
read the whole
You
thing.
gotta read the motion.
I'm sorry?
I have to have the motion.
Do you have your,
What is it?
I know it's on your agenda.
okay, James got it.
Move to enter the executive session for one SRSA subsection 405 to discuss confidential records.
Folks, we're still, sorry, but we're still in session here, so.
To discuss confidential records for financial relief relative to case number 01-2025.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? 7:05.
You were driving tonight?
All right.
No more drinking while you're driving.